Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into another edition of Key Time Sports. It's Key Time coming back to talk about my reactions of the 2024 season in week 11 of the NFL. So, the very first game that we saw in week 11 was the Washington Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, this game, I knew that this game was going to be close, and I knew that this was for the overwhelming four seed one atop of the NFC East. So, what I saw from the Washington Commanders and the Eagles are pretty much two of the same teams that are going to the playoffs, but one is going to go much further in the playoffs because what I see with the Washington Commanders, they are a young and upcoming team, but this is the year where they will gain experience because before it's like always, it's almost like in life. Before you succeed at something, you got to gain experience from it. So, Jaden Daniels, I like what I'm seeing from him. Brian Robinson Jr., the running back, I like what I'm seeing from him. The Washington Commanders, they will go to the playoffs and they will win they maybe will win in the first round, if not going to the second round and ultimately losing to a more superior team. Now, as far as the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, he had a good game. 18 or 28, 221 yards, zero touchdowns, zero interceptions. Now, the drive before halftime, he had two wide receivers open in the end zone, but yet he threw the ball in the ground. So that could have been a touchdown right there for him. Now, as far as the Philadelphia rushing game, what is there to say? You got Saquon Barkley. He basically have shouldered the load all season. And on top of that, they had over 200 yards in the rushing game. To be exact, 228. So now you see the Washington Commanders, when it comes to their running game, it was basically non existent, only had 93 yards. And you also saw a defense in the Eagles where at times it seemed like they didn't know what to do and how to get off the field. Now there were a lot of times on third down where in the first half the defense stepped up to the occasion. And in the first quarter particularly, they exchanged, it was a punt fest. Commanders exchange punts, the Eagles exchange punts. So now this is a two-team race in the NFC after what we saw from last night, and later on in the show I will unravel into all of that and cover all of that. But this is just a two-team race. In week 16, if I'm not mistaken, the Commanders and Eagles will meet each other again in Washington, and more than likely, whoever wins that game will go on to win the NFC East unless the Eagles go on a winning streak. Right now, they have seven more games left, and if they win four of their next seven, they will win the NFC East. So all in all, this was a entertaining game. As far as third down, what really hurt the Commanders is third down. They were 3 of 12. You're not gonna win many games where you're going 3 for 12 on third down. And the Eagles, they were almost perfect on third down. 9 of 16, and basically most of their scoring came in the fourth quarter. When the game is on the line and it's down to the nitty gritty and it's money time, that is where the Eagles came up and stepped up to the occasion and won the game. So The Eagles are 8-2 and the Commanders are 7-4. This is going to be a great, and I do mean a great finish with the NFC East when it comes to the Eagles and Washington Commanders. Now, the next game I want to cover is the Green Bay Packers and Chicago Bears. Now, I believe Matt Eberflus, he is on the hot seat. I already got him down on my chopping block. I'm going to make a note of that now. Matt Eberflus on the NFL coaching chopping block. Okay, so now I'm going to unravel what the Green Bay Packers did, and then I'm going to unravel what the Chicago Bears did. The Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love, he had almost a perfect game. 13 of 17, 261 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So touchdown to interception ratio in this game was the same. Caleb Williams, 23 of 31, 231 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Running games for both teams, 106 for the Green Bay Packers, 179 for the Chicago Bears. Third down in this game was not on the Green Bay Packers side. They went 1 for 5 on third down, and they won the game. Teams that go 1 for 5 on third down in all of NFL history have been 0 and 276, meaning that the Green Bay Packers wasn't supposed to win this game. They were supposed to get blown out. But lack of offense from the Chicago Bears perspective, that is the reason why the Packers won this game. So before I get into the Chicago Bears, the Green Bay Packers, they are sitting right up there in that 4th or 5th spot in the playoff chase for the NFC playoffs. So now the Green Bay Packers, they are sitting pretty. Jordan Love, he is back. He's been back for 5 weeks after his early season injury. And let's see if the Green Bay Packers can go on a little bit of a run to the playoffs and make that final playoff push so they can have a playoff seeding before the playoffs commence. Now, let me get to the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears have had offensive struggles all season. I don't need to paint you out a picture because you can see from their offensive output every week, scoring 12 points, scoring 15 points against the Packers, scoring 19 points. And then you have some games where they are just scoring 10 and 7 points. So it has been there has been no consistency with the Chicago Bears. But what I have a problem with is Matt Eberflus and him electing to kick a 46-yard field goal when he had 30 seconds left on the clock. The Bears could have gotten at least 25 to 30 more yards to make the field goal even more easier to make. But I have some stats for everybody out there. The reason why I'm saying when it comes to a field goal, lining up for a game-winning field goal, get the field goal kicker as close as you can get them. That way the kick can be much easier. I am going to tell you, from inside of 40, the Chicago Bears kicker is 87%. He's very efficient from inside of 40. Outside of 40, it goes to 75%. And kicks like this, meaning that the game is close and you have your players, you have your players and players of the opposing team trying to block a kick. One thing that the Bears should have done, they should have got 30 more yards. See, this is not on the players. This is on the head coach and the coaching staff. Because if I'm the offensive coordinator of the Chicago Bears, I want to get my kicker as close as I can get him. You at the 40, you at the 35-yard line, you know that is going to be a 45, 46-yard field goal. If you get the ball to the 13 or the 15 or even the 20, you looking at a 30, 34, 35-yard field goal, and the level of efficiency that this kicker has inside of 40, I've already told you. So the Chicago Bears lost this game on Matt Eberflus' decision on kneeling the ball down and bringing the kicker out with just 30 seconds left. You let 27 seconds you let 27 seconds roll off the clock, which in them 27 seconds you could have had at least 20 to 25 more yards. But I got Matt Eberflus on the hot seat, on the chopping block, I might add you, because I know that the Bears, they are old fashioned. They rather finish out a season. The George Halas family, the George Halas family, they are a class organization. They don't like firing head coaches within the season, and I'm for that 100%. But at the end of the season, Matt Eberflus, he got to go because it has been time and time again. And let me tell you, he's only been there 3 years. So the first year, it was pretty much a dumpster fire. Second year, last year, they were a bottom of the damn barrel team. And this year, you are currently 4-6 on the outside looking in of the playoffs. So you got to win, I would say, 5 of your next 6 games to even remotely have a chance at making the playoffs. But Matt Eberflus, he was on, before he got this job for the Chicago Bears, he was on a coaching staff. He was on an NFL coaching staff and a team. I forgot what team he was on, but the team that he was on, they made it to the playoffs. And it seemed like that when he came here, it seemed like he didn't know what type of scheme to bring. And plus, they just fired their offensive coordinator, the Bears did, last week. So you have all of that, and then you have a budding superstar in Caleb Williams that he has pretty much regressed since early in the season. Before I am going to say this, before they lost to Washington, the Chicago Bears, you could have easily penciled them in for a playoff divisional round appearance. Now, you don't know whether they are going to make the playoffs. They might miss the playoffs entirely. And at the start of the season, I had the Chicago Bears as one of my dark horse teams to make the playoffs. I am not wavering in my prediction, but I am going to say it looks very grim and bleak right now. So, Matt Eberflus, you are on the chopping block. Your days are numbered. You might as well start packing your bags. I do not like to call for anybody's job because we all know that this is a tough economy right now, and it is hard to get a job, a day-to-day job. So when you get a job in the NFL or any of these big-time sports leagues, you better keep it. But Matt Eberflus, he is not worthy of keeping the job as being the Chicago Bears head coach. The next game I want to cover is the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Detroit Lions. Now, I am gonna give y'all a rough overview of this game because I'm not gonna focus on this game too much because, like I said in my prediction show, this game is going to be over by halftime, and it was. But one thing I want to say is that the Lions had 9 possessions, 7 touchdowns, a field goal, and a kneel down. So that's basically what this game was. And the Jaguars, they basically came out and just waved the white flag at the end of the first quarter. Because at the second quarter, it was just an avalanche of scoring for the Detroit Lions. And Jared Goff, he has been efficient throughout this season. And he had another efficient game against the 29th ranked defense in the NFL. He was 24 of 29, 412 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. And we all know what the Jaguars have done this season. They have pretty much underperformed, and I don't know what Shad Khan is going to do. I don't know what Trent Baalke, the Jaguars GM, is going to do. And most of all, I don't know what Doug Peterson is going to do. But Doug Peterson, he is on the chopping block too. I'm going to write his name on the chopping block. So that's 3 guys right there. And also Trent Baalke is on the chopping block. So that is 4 guys that is on my NFL chopping block for the end of the season. So as far as the Detroit Lions, possibly the best team in the NFL right now. I mean, they are basically eviscerating, annihilating, whatever you want to call, whatever word you want to use. They are doing that because they have won. They have against inferior competition. They have won against the Titans, against the Jaguars, against teams like the Cowboys. Every game that they have played against inferior competition, they have won that game by at least 30 points. I mean, by at least 30 points. That's what I call putting teams to bed, putting these pretenders to bed, because that's exactly who they are. That's what the Tennessee Titans is. That's what the Jaguars are. And that is what the Dallas Cowboys are, my dearly beloved Cowboys. I'm sorry, but hey, I just got to keep it a buck. That's exactly what it has been all throughout the season. And the Detroit Lions, could they make the NFC Championship game again? Can they make it down to New Orleans this year? Maybe, maybe not. But do I see anybody beating the Detroit Lions at home in the playoffs? I don't usually say this, but hell no. I don't see nobody beating the Detroit Lions at home, because I am going to quote a player. This Detroit Lions player, I think he is a wide receiver. He said, our motto, we have a belt to ass motto. That's what he said. I'm paraphrasing. He said belt to ass motto, because what the Detroit Lions blueprint is, if you mess around in the first quarter, this is to all of their opponents. If you mess around with us in the first quarter, you won't be able to win in the fourth quarter. And that's exactly what they have showed us week in and week out. The first quarter, all their opponents stay close with them, stay pace with them. But then in that second quarter and on, the Detroit Lions just dominate opponents, and they dominated the Jaguars just like they have done every other opponent throughout this season. So, Detroit Lions, I've pretty much penciled them in to at least make it to the NFC Championship game, if not go to the Super Bowl, because that is what I see. The only team I see pretty much contending and even in the same hemisphere as the Detroit Lions is the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Philadelphia Eagles have been up and down at times this season. So you might not know what you see from the Eagles, but we for sure know what we're going to see from the Detroit Lions week in and week out this season. The next game I want to cover is the Minnesota Vikings and Tennessee Titans. This game, I'm not going to get into this game too much, because I already knew that the Vikings was going to win this game. The Tennessee Titans, led by Will Levis, turnover machine, as I like to call him. He was 17 of 31, 295 yards, one touchdown, and one interception. Sam Darnold, 20 of 32, 246 yards, two touchdowns, zero interceptions. Both running games were basically non-existent. That's why this was basically a throwing fest. And also, when it comes to the Minnesota Vikings, like I said, they started off the season 5-0. I was saying that they are an average team at best. Since then, they are 8-2 in the last 5 games. So, they are an average team at best. The Vikings, I could see them losing to the Philadelphia Eagles. I could see the Vikings losing to the Detroit Lions in the playoffs, because the Eagles and the Detroit Lions have much deeper teams than the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings are led by a second string quarterback. If nobody is not remembering, J.J. McCarthy was supposed to be the franchise QB, and he still is the franchise QB. He was supposed to start this season, but got injured in training camp. He's out for the season. So now you have to hang your head on Sam Darnold. And we all know when it comes to Sam Darnold, he can throw touchdowns, 3 or 4 touchdowns, and he can have 3 or 4 interceptions in the same exact game. Now, third down in this game, Minnesota Vikings 5 of 14, Tennessee Titans 6 of 15. So, third down this game, it really didn't have any effect. Third down really didn't have any effect in this game, because the Vikings were basically kicking field goals most of the game. They really were. So, the Vikings in this situation, they are currently the number 6 team as far as in the playoff picture, NFC playoff picture. Do I see them making any type of hay in the playoffs? No, I don't. I don't see them making any type of hay. They will be a first round. They will be on a first round and out basis. They will be one and done. That's all I see when it comes to the Minnesota Vikings. One and done. The next game I want to cover is the Las Vegas Raiders and the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins, they're 4-6 currently on the outside looking in on the playoffs. The Raiders, like I've been saying, bottom of the damn barrel team. Bottom of the barrel team. 2-8, have a revolving door at quarterback. They just trying to get ready. They are just what they need to do. I'm going to give y'all a list of teams who need to start focusing on the 2025 NFL Draft. First on my list is the Las Vegas Raiders, then the New York Jets, then the Jacksonville Jaguars, then the Miami Dolphins. As far as getting them, what I mean by the Miami Dolphins is getting them a legitimate running back, because their running backs, Devon Achane and Malik Washington, are playing subpar right now. And you see when it comes now, albeit the top quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa, he got injured early in the season. So that put him behind the 8 ball there. Now they trying to make a playoff push they're trying to make a late season push for the playoffs. Will they be able to make the playoffs? I don't see it happening, because the Dolphins, they are going Dolphin. So, and what I mean by that is some of the games that they are supposed to win, they going to lose. Like the game versus the Arizona Cardinals. They were supposed to win that, but ended up losing it. This game right here, it was always close, and the Raiders could have won this game. But the the Miami Dolphins did what they were supposed to do and win this game. Third down efficiency, both teams were pretty much, they had the exact stat line when it comes to third down efficiency. 8 of 14 for the Las Vegas Raiders, 8 of 12 for the Miami Dolphins. So, what the Raiders need, they need them a quarterback. They do. They need them a wide receiver. They need them a running back. They need a legitimate offensive line they can shore up that offensive line, because if you are going for a quarterback, I'm going to say, if you are going for a quarterback like Shedeur Sanders, I've been hearing speculations that the Las Vegas Raiders are interested in Shedeur Sanders. If you are going for a quarterback like him, you need to have a good offensive line. And plus, he has Vic-like-esque play. He is not going to take a sack. If he sees something, if he sees the pocket breakdown, he is going to roll out and get you 5 to 10 yards, or he might roll out and look to throw. He might not run every time, but he will look to throw. So if the Raiders are looking for a guy like Shedeur Sanders, they got to do some major shifts before the NFL draft. And from what I'm hearing, there is speculation that Deion Sanders, he will have a hand in where Shedeur goes, where Shiloh goes, and where Travis Hunter goes in the NFL. But he is going to do that on a privacy basis. He is not going to do that publicly. And I like that plan, because you do not need the media saying that, oh, you don't want him to go to this team because you don't like their structure. Half of the teams in the NFL don't have a structure, don't have a winning culture. So I like what Deion is saying. I want my boys to go to a team where they have a winning culture, and I wouldn't settle for nothing less if I was in his shoes. The next game I want to cover is the Los Angeles Rams and the New England Patriots. Here's another team that needs to get ready for the NFL draft. The New England Patriots. You got your quarterback for the future. Now you need legitimate wide receivers, a legitimate tight end, a legitimate running back, a legitimate defensive scheme, because the defense, we don't know what kind of defense the New England Patriots are running. But you have two of the most three important things that you need when it comes to a franchise. You got a good quarterback, you got a good head coach. Now you need a good special teams, a good defense, and you need a good kicker. You need a good kicker. So as far as the Patriots, Drake May, another good game, 30 or 40, 284 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. And then you have Matthew Stafford, 18 or 27, 295 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. The Rams are 5-5 right now. Basically, with the NFC West, there are 3 teams in a 3-way tie for second place in the NFC West. The best team in the NFC West is the Arizona Cardinals, and the worst team in the NFC West, shockingly, is the San Francisco 49ers. Who would have thought that at the start of the season? So, the 49ers, when it comes to them, I believe that when it comes to them, they are emotionally drained from the past 4 or 5 years. Being to the NFC Championship game, going to the playoffs every season for the past 4 years, and going to the Super Bowl and losing to the Kansas City Chiefs twice in the last 5 years. And then every season they come in and we always put them up there on the same level as the Chiefs. Now they dealing with injuries galore. What are the San Francisco 49ers going to be in the next 5 to 8 games? You don't know. But back to the Los Angeles Rams. Los Angeles Rams are at the third spot in the NFC West. What can they do? I believe that the Rams after this season, they might have to look for a quarterback too, because how many more years is Matthew Stafford going to be available for you? That's something that Stan Kroenke and the Rams general manager should be thinking about. For those of you who don't know who Stan Kroenke is, he is the owner of the Los Angeles Rams, and he has got ownership of two other sports teams. So that when I say Stan Kroenke, I'm talking about the Rams owner. The next game I want to cover is the Cleveland Browns and the New Orleans Saints. Now, the New Orleans Saints, they've won two games. The Atlanta Falcons, they're starting to slip a little bit. They are starting to creep back up. We know that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they are not too far off. Now, the NFC South, like I said, the NFC South is the worst division in the NFL. Like I say, anybody, and I do mean anybody, can come out of the NFC South. Like I said, we see the Carolina Panthers early in the season. I thought they were a dumpster fire. Now they have won three of their last 4 games. The Saints have won their last 2 games. The Buccaneers, they are pretty much slipping, teetering in the wrong direction. And the Falcons have pretty much swept their divisional opponents. They are 4-0 in the division right now. They have 2 more They have 2 more divisional games. So, like I said, the taking for the NFC South is for the Atlanta Falcons. Now, back to the New Orleans Saints. Derek Carr is a subpar quarterback. 21 of 27, 248 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interception. And then you have Taysom Hill. He was 1 or 2 for 18 yards. Taysom Hill, he did a whole lot more on the ground. 7 carries, 138 yards, 3 touchdowns. So he had a big imprint on this game as far as rushing. Now, for the Cleveland Browns, another team that needs to get ready for the 2025 NFL draft. The Cleveland Browns, they need a quarterback because Deshaun Watson, what he needs to do, I don't even think he doesn't need to suit up for the Cleveland Browns because he signed the most lucrative, and I do mean lucrative, the second most lucrative contract in NFL history. We all know who signed the most lucrative contract in NFL history. That was the quarterback. That was the Dallas Cowboys quarterback, Dak Prescott. So back to the Browns. They need a quarterback. They need a running back, and they need wide receivers because everybody on the Cleveland Browns roster is subpar. And also, everybody on the New Orleans Saints roster is subpar. When you look at this game, it was basically, I would say, a turnover fest. It was because the Cleveland Browns, they had a chance at winning this game very early in the game. And then Jameis Winston started throwing interceptions. And then you see where you see where the bottom fell out of the barrel when it comes to the Cleveland Browns, and the Saints started to gain momentum, and the Saints were just like a runaway train in this game because they had over 200 yards of rushing on the ground. So the Saints were a runaway train, and you got the Cleveland Browns still stuck in park. That's what this game was. You got one team that know that they have to rebuild, but want to win games to get a more feasible pick, because when it comes to the Saints, they don't have much cap space going into next season. So they are going to be stuck with these players for basically another year or two. So that's all I have. That's all I have for that game, the Browns versus the Saints. The next game I want to cover is the Indianapolis Colts and the New York Jets. New York Jets, I said at the start of the season that your team, New York Jets fans, I said at the start of the season that your team would not make the Super Bowl, play in the Super Bowl. And I said that the New York Jets would make the playoffs. Now, you only have a 2% chance at making the playoffs. You have to, New York Jets, you have to win out, and you need, by my calculations, you need 6 teams to lose at least 2 or more games to even remotely have a chance at making the playoffs. But before I get into playoff seeding, New York Jets, Aaron Rodgers, 22 of 29, 184 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Anthony Richardson, 20 of 30, 272 yards, 1 touchdown, and 0 interceptions. When it comes to this game, I said that the New York Jets had to win this game to save their season. They didn't. They're 3-8. And if I was a Jets fan right now, I would be looking forward to the NFL draft, and that's what the New York Jets need to do. And they need to draft another quarterback, because Aaron Rodgers, at the end of next month, at the end of this year, he will be 40. He'll be 41. And he says that he wants to come back next season. And at the end of next season, he'll be 42. So, New York Jets, you need to build with youth. You still have a young defensive lineup. You still have 2 young running backs. You still have a running back. Your top running back is the youngest player in NFL history at just 20 years old. So you need to build your offense around him. You need to draft 2 good wide receivers, and also the aforementioned, you need to draft a quarterback, because after Aaron Rodgers hangs it up, you don't want to be searching for a quarterback. So what the New York Jets need to do is get them a legitimate quarterback right now when Aaron Rodgers is still at the fold. But one thing I got to say is the New York Jets owner, Woody Johnson, he might give all of his ownership reins to his brother, Chris Johnson, because Woody Johnson, he really doesn't know what he's doing. The last head coaching hire that he made that was good was Rex Ryan. And I'm going to tell you, the last time the last time the New York Jets were good, I was in 2nd and 3rd grade. And that was when Rex Ryan was there. They was going to the NFC Championship, not NFC Championship, AFC Championship game on a regular basis, being in the playoffs on a regular basis. Now, fast forward 16 years later, and you are a shell of what those New York Jets teams were. you are. New York Jet fans, I know you always come to me for hope, but I said coming into the season, you guys, the fans, especially New York Jets were on my list of teams with the most to prove, with plenty to prove in the 2024 season. And obviously, you have failed everybody. You have failed all of us when it comes to expectations. My expectations was just for you to make the playoffs, because last time you made the playoffs, I was in fourth grade. I was in fourth grade when y'all made the playoffs, and I know, hey, I don't look that old. I still look like I should be in school, don't I, our audience? So back to what I was saying, New York Jets ownership, GM, everybody in that entire organization, you have to do soul searching, because it has been 13 years since you have made the playoffs. And that is the worst statistical stretch in all of the major four sports leagues in North America. In North America. But enough about the New York Jets. I'm going to talk about the Indianapolis Colts. Indianapolis Colts are 5-6, have an outside chance at making the playoffs. Anthony Richardson, he is your cornerstone franchise QB. What you need to do is build around him. The Colts, what you need is a legitimate running back at every down running back. You need more wide receivers, more tight ends, and you need to build around that defense, because the Colts, they have a great defense. Now this game, the Colts, they basically took control of this game. It was 13-0 at one point in this game. And then the Jets, they started gaining momentum, and the Jets even took the lead. But in the end, the New York Jets defense, that the last couple of years that we all have been raving about. I remember a couple years ago, I was in my college class, and I was raving about the New York Jets defense. And I said that this defense would be around for years to come. And let me tell you, the defense this year is looking like a shell of itself from the previous 2 years prior. Everybody was saying that the New York Jets was a quarterback away. New York Jets fans, you're still a quarterback away, because the Aaron Rodgers experience, the days are numbered with the Aaron Rodgers experience. But all in all, this turned out to be a very entertaining game, which I knew it was going to be, because you have two subpar defenses and you have two subpar quarterbacks. We never thought that we would be putting Aaron Rodgers and the word subpar in the same sentence. But that is what he is now. New York Jets fans, what you need to do is you need to find you a quarterback that is able to withstand the New York media, because I know how treacherous the New York media can get when it comes to their sports teams. I know how that is. So what they need to do is find, and when it comes to both New York teams, the Giants and the Jets included, they need to find a quarterback that is going to withstand the New York media criticism that is going to come week in and week out. Because I am going to say, ever since I started following football, the Giants and the New York Jets have had subpar quarterbacks. I'm going to say something here. Now, if you are under, I'm going to say this, if you are under 20, if you are under 22, then you might not know the quarterbacks that I am going to name. But any diehard New York Giants fan, do y'all remember Kerry Collins? Kerry Collins, He was the last one to lead y'all before Eli came into the fold. He led y'all to an NFC Championship game versus the Minnesota Vikings. And in that NFC Championship game back in 2000, the Giants dominated the Minnesota Vikings 44-0. And in that same year, the New York Jets quarterback was NFL journeyman Vinny Testaverde. So ever since then, you've had subpar to decent quarterback play if you are the New York Jets and Giants. You got to have, in this day and time, you got to have a quarterback that is NFL ready. NFL teams are not doing the 2 quarterback system. Oh, we will develop this guy in 2 or 3 years. The NFL owners, if they are paying guys $400 and $500 million over the course of 5-6 years, they want their quarterbacks out there on opening day. So for the New York Jets and the New York Giants, you got some soul searching to do. Woody Johnson, owner of the New York Jets, John Mara, owner of the New York Giants, you both got some soul searching to do, or give your ownership reins to somebody else in the family, because obviously the 2 organizations in New York, football organizations in New York, are a train wreck. The next game I want to cover is the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, Pittsburgh Steelers, they won this game by kicking nothing but field goals. And it's astounding to say that because they did the same thing in week 2 versus the Atlanta Falcons. Played the game, couldn't put the ball in the end zone, just kicked field goals and still won the game. And exactly by this same exact score, they won against the Atlanta Falcons 18-16, and they won against the Baltimore Ravens 18-16. Baltimore Ravens, the quarterback, Lamar Jackson, he said so himself. The Ravens have been killing themselves on offense. And I can go back to every game that they have lost. The AFC Championship game versus the Chiefs, they killed themselves on offense. The first game of this season versus the Chiefs, they killed themselves on offense. Against the Raiders, the Ravens killed themselves on offense. Against the Steelers, Sunday, they killed themselves on offense. It is something is going on with the offensive coordinator in Baltimore, because you have a 6'5", 260-pound running back in Derrick Henry, and you don't give him the damn ball when it's 3rd and 2 or 2nd and 2. And even on the 2-point conversion, why is Derrick Henry on the sideline? I mean, just having Derrick Henry out there draws the defense to him. I don't know what the Baltimore Ravens offensive coordinator is doing, but he obviously ain't doing the right stuff, because we should not have the Ravens at 7-4 right now, still fighting for a top spot in the playoffs. The Ravens should be one of those top 3 seeds when it comes to the AFC playoffs. But as of right now, they are seed number 5 and 6. Seed number 5 because the Los Angeles Chargers are the 4th seed. But the Baltimore Ravens, it seems like every game when it comes to playing against top-notch teams, they fold. And I mean, when it comes to the playoffs, you can't fold in the playoffs. You only have that one game. I've always said this over the years. When it comes to the playoffs, there's nothing that you can hold on to but your playoff seed, and you can't even hold on to that, because one game, and you are sitting at home watching the playoffs just like the rest of us journalists and other football fans. So for the Baltimore Ravens, you got to get your stuff together because the playoffs are fastly approaching. We got Thanksgiving coming up next week. It's getting down to the nitty-gritty time, Baltimore Ravens. You're 7-4 right now. You're looking like an average team. You said that you wasn't going to be an average team coming into this season. But you have teams like the Chiefs, the Buffalo Bills, and now the Steelers ranked ahead of you. And you are 7-4. That's all I see when it comes to the Baltimore Ravens is an average football team with a bell cow at running back. So this game right here, basically a defensive game. We knew that this was going to be a defensive game. The Baltimore Ravens, 4 of 11 on third down. The Pittsburgh Steelers, 4 of 16 on third down. But I got to say, that Pittsburgh Steelers defense, one of the best in football. They are top 5 in almost every defensive statistical category. Top 5 in yards allowed, top 5 in points allowed, top 5 in getting teams off the field on third down. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have a formula, and credit to Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin, I got to give credit where credit is due. This man has not had a losing season ever as the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach. This season, he had a 2-quarterback system. He started off the season with Justin Fields, and now he has went, and even to have the courage of going from Justin Fields to Russell Wilson, that speaks courageousness, because not too many coaches will do that. But when we talk about Mike Tomlin, you don't know what he's thinking about when it comes to preparing his football team. You just don't. That's why Mike Tomlin, he is up there with one of the most successful NFL coaches of all time. Not too many other coaches have had a coaching career without a losing season. Name me another coach that has had a coaching career without a losing season in it. Because it comes with Mike Tomlin. He prides himself on developing players and not going out and trading for players like these other teams do. So the Steelers, they build from within, and that is what everybody likes about Mike Tomlin. I'm gonna tell you, Mike Tomlin, can't nobody say nothing bad about Mike Tomlin. You can't say that he don't know how to win because he done won 2 Super Bowls for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You can't say that he's had a losing season because 16 years he's been the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach, never had a losing season. The seasons that he has that he has played that he has coached subpar seasons. The worst season that Mike Tomlin has ever had was 8-8. And he had that for about 2 years. And those Pittsburgh Steelers football teams were just average teams. The best record that Mike Tomlin has had since being as far as season record, the best season record that Mike Tomlin has ever had was when the Pittsburgh Steelers went 14-2 when they went to Super Bowl 45 and playing against the Green Bay Packers. Outside of that, Mike Tomlin is consistent. And everybody, they need to start respecting Mike Tomlin. Now, I know that the last time a Mike Tomlin-led team has won a playoff game was 2016. This year, he's got to win a playoff game. I'm not saying his job is not on the hot seat because the Pittsburgh Steelers just signed him to another 5-year contract. So Pittsburgh, they know what they're doing. Pittsburgh is another old-fashioned organization that they do not believe in firing coaches during the season. They believe in sticking with a coach. I am going to tell you, for a history lesson to the audience out there, it is 2024. The Pittsburgh Steelers have only had 3 coaches since 1970. The first one back in 1970 was Chuck Norris. No, excuse me. Chuck Noll. Chuck Noll. Then you had Bill Cowell, and since 2006 you have had Mike Tomlin at the helm. Outside of that, throughout those 3 coaches, the Pittsburgh Steelers have won 6 Super Bowls throughout a 40-year span, not counting the last 10 years. But I'm just saying, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they are a organization that basically they some other teams need to take the blueprint of the Pittsburgh Steelers organization and use it to their advantage. Now, the next game I want to cover is the Atlanta Falcons and the Denver Broncos. Now, the Denver Broncos, everybody was asking me at the start of the season. I said the Denver Broncos would go 10-7. And everybody was asking me, Key Time, how you see the Broncos going 10-7? I said most of the games that the Broncos will be playing, I know they are underdogs, but they are led by a head coach in Sean Payton that knows what he's doing. And as of now, they are 6-5. I said to people that the Broncos was going to be a tough outing during the season. Now they 6-5. And how many wins did I say? I said that they would go 10-7. They might even do better than 10-7 the way they going. You got Bo Nix. Bo Nix is a cornerstone quarterback for the Denver Broncos. Broncos fans, you got your cornerstone for the next 10 years. Bo Nix, 28 of 33, 307 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. And basically, the Denver Broncos offense, they have just been improving week after week. Now, when it comes to their third down efficiency, it has improved week after week. 6 of 11 versus the Falcons, and plus the Denver Broncos defense led by defensive coordinator Vance Joseph. I don't know how many times I done said this, but the Denver Broncos, they have improved from last year's defensive debacle. They really have. They really have. They have improved a lot, and dare I say that the Denver Broncos will make the playoffs. As of right now, currently they are at the 7th spot according to the AFC NFL playoff picture. And I wouldn't be surprised if they gave one of them top teams, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, or somebody of that caliber, a run for their money. Because, like I said, before the season started, I had the Broncos as one of my teams with plenty to prove in the 2024 season, and they have proved me right. They have. Now, as far as the Atlanta Falcons perspective, Atlanta Falcons, they are 6-5 currently. They hold the first spot in the NFC South, but like I said, the Saints, they are 4-7, and the Saints, they still have to play the Atlanta Falcons later on in the season. So the Falcons, they really they have sole possession of first place, but if they lose a couple more games, then the Buccaneers and the Saints have a chance to take the NFC South crown. So as far as the Broncos concerned, Broncos are a playoff team, a young, upcoming, and playoff team. And this is just Sean Payton's second year at the helm in the Mile High City. It really is. So from what the Denver Broncos done from Coach Nathaniel Hackett up until now, it is simply amazing. The next game I want to cover is the Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers. Like I said earlier in the show, San Francisco 49ers, I believe that they are emotionally drained from the past 5 years, and not just the past 5 years. When you look back to, I am going to say, when I was from when I was in high school up until now, the 49ers every year has been in, well, excuse me, not every year, with the exclusion of the 2020 season and the 2017 and 18 season, every other year the 49ers have been in the playoffs, whether making it to the NFC divisional round, NFC championship, or the Super Bowl. And now they have so many injuries. They have injuries galore, and plus they have salary cap problems. You have 8 players that is going to be up with the salary cap. Now you have 8 players that you can't bring everybody back. So this is going to be the last possible ride that the 49ers have. Not to mention Brock Purdy. He still needs to get a contract. Deebo Samuel, he is going to be up for a contract. You just signed Brandon Ayuk, and then you have Jordan Mason. He is going to be up for he is going to be up for contract within the next year or so. Brock Purdy, 21 of 28, 159 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Geno Smith, 25 of 32, 221 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. When it comes to the running game was basically about the same. Seattle Seahawks rushing attack, 94 yards. San Francisco rushing attack, 131 yards. The 49ers, I hate to say it, but when it comes to the 49ers, they might need to take a back seat this year. But I still have them going to the playoffs. But I'm going to say 5-5, and you have 7 games left. You basically have to win the next 5 to 7. You basically have to win the next 5 to even get into playoff contention. And as far as the Seattle Seahawks, they in the exact same boat. Like I said earlier in the show, the Rams are in the exact same boat. The Seahawks, they have just underachieved all season. Starting off the season 3-0, then losing 3 of the next 4, and now they have won 2 of their last 3 to be 5-5. Excuse me. Do I see the Seahawks being a formidable playoff foe? No, I don't. I see them making the playoffs and getting a first round exit. The Seahawks, they will be one and done. The next game I want to cover, and this was basically the game of the week, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. Patrick Mahomes, 23 of 33, 196 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Josh Allen, 27 of 40, 262 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. I watched the entirety of this game, And the pivotal point in this game was that 4th down and 2. I was not surprised that the Buffalo Bills went for it on 4th down and 2 because I knew that Josh Allen was not going to give the ball back to the Chiefs with a chance to go down and win. Now, when we look at the efficiency for 3rd down for the Kansas City Chiefs, it's 5. They were 5 of 10, and the Bills were 9 of 15. The Kansas City Chiefs in this aspect, I had the Kansas City Chiefs before the season started going 14-3. The Chiefs, they are still gonna have the number 1 spot in the AFC. They gonna have home field advantage in the playoffs. The Buffalo Bills are gonna have to, if everything falls into place, the Bills, they are gonna have to go into Arrowhead and find a way to win again. Find a way to win in the playoffs in Arrowhead because they haven't done that in the Josh Allen era. As far as Patrick Mahomes, he said that he hasn't played well. We all know that. The Kansas City Chiefs, they haven't played well. They are fortunate enough to be 9-1. Like I always say, you do not want to be playing your best game in September, October, or November. You want to be playing your best football before and after Christmas, especially after New Year's. You want to be playing your best football, and I think that is where the Chiefs are going to start playing their best football after Christmas. Now, congratulations to the Buffalo Bills. This was a game that they needed for their psyche, but we've seen this movie too many times where the Buffalo Bills win a regular season game versus the Kansas City Chiefs. They've done it the last 3 years, and then in the end, they end up losing in the playoffs. So I just don't believe somebody is gonna beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. The NFL, they gonna have to show it to me because I said before the season started that the Kansas City Chiefs have nothing to prove because they won the last 2 Super Bowls, and history tells us that teams going for a three-peat, it is not statistically in their favor. It has been 10 teams in NFL history to win back-to-back Super Bowls and try and go for a three-peat, and obviously none of them have eclipsed that feat. So the Kansas City Chiefs are playing with house money at this point. They are expected to lose. So history states they are expected to lose. So it would not be a surprise if the Kansas City Chiefs lose in the playoffs. But I don't see them losing in the playoffs. I see them going down to the French Quarter in New Orleans and winning the Super Bowl. That's what I see. And them being the first team in NFL history to win 3 straight Super Bowls. Now that they are already a dynasty. They won 3 championships in 5 years. If you go and win a 4th championship in 6 years with a three-peat with that, you're legendary. You are a legendary football team, Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the next game I want to cover is Sunday Night Football. The Cincinnati Bengals versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Cincinnati Bengals, your season is just about done. You are pretty much a bottom of the barrel team. And it sounds a little odd to say that because you got one of the top wide receivers in the NFL in Jamar Chase. Then you have T. Higgins. And then you have a good quarterback. But I'm hearing speculations that T. Higgins, he's already out of the door. From my sources, that's what I'm hearing. T. Higgins will not be in a Cincinnati Bengals uniform come next season. And remember where you heard this. You heard it here first. Key Time Sports told you this, that T. Higgins will not be in the Cincinnati Bengals starting lineup come week 1 of the 2025 NFL season. Now back to the game. The Chargers, they started out, it was 27-6 at one point. 21-point lead, and then at the end, late in the fourth quarter, the Bengals tied the game at 27 apiece. And then after that, the Chargers, they went on a quick drive and scored what ultimately led up being the game-winning touchdown by J.K. Dobbins. So the Chargers, from what I saw this game. It was a tale of two halves, because you had the Chargers dominating this game, and they basically were on the verge of doing what they did playing against the Jaguars a couple of years ago, giving up a 27-point lead. But like I said, with Jim Harbaugh at the helm, he has installed a new blueprint in the Los Angeles Chargers organization, and you see it because they are 7-3 right now. They are currently at the 4th spot in the AFC playoff picture, and the Bengals are on the outside looking in. I think that the Bengals, they need to do an overhaul. They can't do an overhaul because they paid Joe Burrow all of that money. Then they paid Jamar Chase all of that money. T. Higgins, he still wants a new contract. And you have an offensive line that you are trying to keep everything together. But the offensive linemen, they want to be paid the big bucks too. So Paul Brown, you got a tough offseason ahead of you, because the Bengals, they are not making the playoffs, because I see it right now. Even if they do win out and have 4, maybe 5 teams lose a game here or there, they still not going to be able to make it. So third down, when we look at third down, this was the deciding factor in the game. The Bengals had more efficiency on third down in this game, but they lost. Why? Because of a defense that has been subpar at best throughout the entirety of this season. Like I said, the Bengals offense, like I've been saying for weeks, the Bengals offense, they have to play a perfect game. They have got to score a touchdown on every drive, or else they've lost the game. The defense can't hold up. Before the Bengals game starts, I already say that if they don't have their offense out there, they are already down 3 points or 7 points. And it's basically been like that throughout the entirety of this season. The LA Chargers, playoff team already. They have that rough and tug mentality, meaning that they are going to make the game look ugly and just keep the game close and then find a way to win at the end. So the Chargers are 7-3. That's all I have for the Cincinnati Bengals and San Diego Chargers game. The final game I want to talk about is the game we saw last night. Monday Night Football. The Houston Texans versus my dearly beloved Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys, I said this a month and a half ago. All of us fans, we're going to have to take a step back. We're going to have to take a step back this season because we haven't protected our home field. We can't do nothing on the road. We don't have a consistent running game or a passing game. You got our owner, Jerry Jones, saying that everything is okay, but behind closed doors, the bottom done fell out of the damn barrel already. Now we have got to look at the draft. We got to go and get a running back. We have got to go and get a wide receiver to correspond with CeeDee Lamb. We have got to get a new offensive line. We have got to get a new defensive line. We have got to get new corners. We have got to just get new everything. The only thing that is complete when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys is Dak Prescott. And he has got, and that contract that I said earlier in the show, where he is going to be getting $60 million. So that's in guaranteed dollars, I might add you. $60 million in guaranteed dollars. So Dak Prescott is going to be fine. But as far as a backup quarterback, the Dallas Cowboys need a backup quarterback just in case if Dak Prescott goes down. Backup running back, because the running game has been non-existent all season. It's been non-existent. And you know, I'm a big fan of Jerry Jones. I really am. Jerry Jones happens to be one of my favorite owners in the NFL. But Mr. Jones, if you need help when it comes to football expertise and picking the right players and picking dark horse players to come and play for you, I'm your guy. Please let me be in on the draft day desk room, and I can tell you who to get and who not to pass up. Hell, I'm saying that for the Cowboys. It seems like the Jaguars also need help. So the Jaguars, they also need help. The Cowboys, in this case, Jerry, what we need to do is we need a complete overhaul at every position besides the quarterback. We do, because from what I'm seeing on a weekly basis, it is not great, and this is not the Dallas Cowboys blueprint and the historical blueprint that us fans are used to seeing. I mean, the Texans, they have a subpar offensive line. We were not able to get pressure on defense, and just basically all around, this was a blowout. This game, it was basically, before we could really sit down in our seats and get comfortable and have us a good home-cooked meal and get ready to watch Monday Night Football, the Texans had already scored a touchdown on the first play of the game. First play of the game, what defenses are you calling? Mike Zimmer, the Cowboys defensive coordinator. Mike Zimmer, what we need to do is we might need to ship him out of there. Because the blueprint that he has given the Dallas Cowboys defense, it's not working out. Jerry, what you need to do, we know that you everything. You're the owner, you're the president, you're the GM, you're everything. And plus you have a son that is in your corner. But somebody like me, or somebody that is in the realm of the Cowboys organization, has to just tell Jerry Jones, can you give up your GM rights, general manager rights, to somebody that is much younger? Because we need something. As far as Dallas Cowboy fans, we need something to look forward to. We need a defense that is going to be able to stop teams in their tracks when it's needed. And the Dallas Cowboys haven't done that all season long. Now, as far as the Houston Texans, they are 7-4, have an outside chance at making the playoffs. And I believe that the Houston Texans will make the playoffs, because everybody else in the AFC South is bad. The Tennessee Titans are bad. The Indianapolis Colts, they are teetering in the wrong direction. And I don't even need to mention the Jaguars. So, all in all, this was week 11. And with that, those are my reactions to week 11 of the 2024 NFL season. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, click the notification bell to get notified of all of my reaction videos, shows and other content. And also follow Key City Sports on TikTok. And remember one last thing, the key is always on time.